So just a little bit of advanced concepts, because when you go in the exam, they might be asking you about those. So the first one is the SQS extended client. So we know that the message limit is 256 kilobytes, but how do you send larger messages? For this, there is something called the extended client, and it's a Java library. I'm not sure if there's other implementation in other languages, but basically it leverages S3 on top of your SQS queue. So the process is as such. We have a producer, and he wants to send a really large message to the SQS queue. Well, instead of sending it to the queue, it will send it, the large message, straight to Amazon S3. So we'll put the message in the S3 bucket. Now, from the S3 bucket, it knows where the message has been put. And so what it'll do is that it will send a small metadata message to the SQS queue, basically indicating that a larger message was sent to S3. Now, using the extended client library, the consumer receives that small metadata message, and it says, oh, it seems like I need to pull the larger message out of Amazon S3. So it will just do that. It will go to Amazon S3 and retrieve the large message. So what we can see here is that on top of communicating to SQS, we also have to communicate to S3, but we're able to send extremely large messages, think images, videos, whatever you want, and only pass through SQS just the metadata. So that's it for the extended client. Now let's talk about security, because security is always important. There is in-flight security using the HTTPS endpoint. Again, anytime there's an S to HTTP, that means SSL, that means secure, that means encrypted. We can also enable SSE for server-side encryption, and that leverages KMS. So KMS, we can set our own customer master key we want to use, and we can set something called the data key reused period. That's a bit more advanced, but basically, the lower you set this period, the more KMS API will be used, and you will have to pay more. If you set it to higher, then you have slightly less security, but you use the KMS API less, and so you control your cost. So you can set the data key reuse period between 1 minute and 24 hours, and by default it's 5 minutes. SSE will only encrypt the message body, not the metadata, so not the message ID, the timestamps, and the attributes. So don't ever store sensitive information into your attributes, just in the body. Now, the IAM policy must allow the usage of SQS, but we know this by now. IAM basically controls all the API calls done within your AWS accounts, and so it's very important to allow the usage of SQS. And on top of it, there is this obscure concept, a bit more advanced, called the SQS access policy. Basically, it's a finer grained control. You can use the IP for deciding who wants to access, and you can say when the messages come in and from which accounts. It's a little bit more advanced. I don't think you need to know it for the exam. Finally, very common question is, there's no VPC endpoint, and so you must have internet access to access SQS, so you can't access XUS privately within your VPC for now. Now for SQS, finally, when you go into the exam, there's a few API you must know, but we've seen them already. Let's just see them one more time. There's the create queue and the delete queue. They do what you expect. They do create a queue and then delete a queue. Purge queue to delete all the messages in your queue, and this takes up to 60 seconds to happen. Send message, receive message, and delete message. They do what they're basically indicate. You send one message, you receive one message, and you delete one message. And you can change the message visibility, so you can change the timeout of a message to increase it in case you need a little bit more time to process your messages. There's a batch API for send message, delete message, and change message visibility. And so that helps you decrease your cost. So there's batch send message, batch delete message, and batch change message visibility. Just remember that receive message can receive up to 10 messages, and that's why there's no batch receive message. So you need to know these APIs, and you'll be good. So that's it for the advanced SQS, just a little bit of overview into what else you need to know. But by now you should be an SQS master, and I hope that was helpful and really put things into perspective. Good luck at it for the exam, and I will see you in the next lecture.